So yeah, the reason Iridikron is better, like, 'cause on the face of it, Iridikron is just like any WoW baddie. He fits like the main baddie mold, the really boring, shitty main baddie mold, the mold which we legitimately criticize the Jailer for fitting so well, which is basically every main baddie in World of Warcraft ever, in every expansion ever, has had the standard deep boomy voice and is essentially like foolish mortals. That's why everyone's laughed at the Jailer. Like, the Jailer was over for me in the opening of Shadowlands, in the opening scenario where you're running around and one of the first things he says is foolish mortals or pitiful mortals. And it was like, oh, shut the fuck up, man. What? Are you kidding me? So lame, so rubbish. And you know, if you go through all of the expansions, they've all been like that. On the face of it, Iridikron is the same, but there is one really, really important difference. And that difference is Iridikron understands how dangerous I am. Iridikron understands how dangerous the player character is. And that shouldn't be such a big deal, but it's actually massive. Like, for WoW baddies, it's huge. Like, traditionally, the WoW baddie has completely underestimated us in every way. Hasn't been scared. Like, they have been basically like a Diablo main character. The thing I hate about Diablo 3, and the thing that does seem to be the case in Diablo 4 as well, which is the thing I don't like about Diablo 4, having played the beta, is that the main character is such a fucking dick. Like, your player character in Diablo is like, in Diablo 3, your player character is like, I will go and kill them all! I will destroy everyone! Aha! That skeleton king doesn't scare me, I'm just gonna fucking absolutely tear him apart. And then you do, right? And that's quite funny at first, but after a whole game, it's just like, oh, well, if you're not scared of anything, neither am I, and the stakes just feel really low, right? And that's what, that does happen in Diablo 4 as well, unfortunately, and it's a bit like, oh, okay. And, like, yeah, that's been the case with all WoW baddies as well. All WoW main baddies have been the same. And it was always the thing I liked least about Diablo 3. It looks like the thing I like least about Diablo 4 so far, which otherwise is really cool. And it's what I hate about WoW baddies. But Iridikron isn't like that. Partly because we have killed his sister, I think it is. And so he's got that thing, and you don't notice it. You don't notice it until you got this really good foil in Firak, who is underestimating us completely. And who is like, fuck them, let's just go and fuck shit up. Let's just go and kill everyone. Let's do it. We're nails. We're fucking dragons. Let's do it. And Iridikron is like, no, man. These guys are dangerous. Like, you can't underestimate these dudes. That's what Razageth did, and she's dead now. Okay, so we've got to be a lot more careful. So when I first looked at Iridikron, what I saw was a big boomy-voiced WoW baddie who had a plan. And a big boomy-voiced WoW baddie who had a plan just felt a lot like the Jailer. You know, like, measured, big boomy, had a plan. You could imagine Iridikron saying something like pitiful mortals, right? You know, you could imagine it. But then you realize, no. The reason he's got the reason the Jailer had a plan was because he was like a 70 chess mastermind or whatever. The reason Iridikron has a plan is specifically to beat us. Like, WoW baddies always have a plan, but that plan usually doesn't concern us at all. And that's the important difference. Like, the reason Iridikron has a plan is because of us, and because he realizes we're fucking nails. And that is completely unique in WoW baddies, you know? Like, usually, the baddie has a plan, and we disrupt it. With Iridikron, we are the reason he has a plan. Because if it wasn't for us, he'd just be like, yeah, let's go and fuck shit up. But because we've killed Razageth, and he realizes how powerful and dangerous we are, he's like, oh, wait, stop. No, we're going to need a plan for this. No, with Arthas, Horned King, we were his plan. With Arthas, he had a plan, and and you could say that he like underestimated us, or he certainly underestimated Tyrion, right? And Yeah, so we were his plan. Like, we were literally the focus of his plan. He wanted us. With Iridikron, it's like, okay, who is our main hurdle? Who is the most dangerous person here? And it's the player character. And he's like, okay, well, they are actually really dangerous, and they are the people that can stop us, so we're going to need to be a bit more careful than we'd otherwise have to be, and we're going to need to actually come up with a good plan here. And that's a huge difference, and a really refreshing difference. It's only a subtle difference, but it's a massively important one. Yeah, really cool to think that the baddie fears us slightly, or is at least very wary of us, right? And like the contrast between Iridikron and Firak really highlights that as well, because as we see in 10.1, Firak doesn't give a shit. Firak is like, yo, let's burn shit, let's fuck shit up, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna bathe myself in the shadow flame, I'm gonna become really nails and really hard and really cool, and like, we're gonna kill him, right? So, you know, there's that. Yeah, Blizzard did Arthas, the only bad guy they did right, though has been very formulaic. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you could argue that Arthas is pretty formulaic, certainly in Warcraft 3, but it was just done well. You know, there's nothing necessarily wrong with being formulaic. There's nothing necessarily wrong with using tropes. You just got to do it well. And, you know, that's why Garrosh worked. Like, Garrosh was pretty formulaic, but it was cool. It was really good. Like, you know, just because a baddie is kind of big and boomy and formulaic, it doesn't make them bad. In fact, I feel like we've learned that with WoW, honestly, having a pretty simple premise and baddie and very focused kind of like journey for them is actually quite a good thing. It just, you know, it being an MMO, the story is told over patches, over 2 years. That kind of generally works a little bit better than something a bit more ambitious. And I think BFA, there are lots of very good things about BFA, but I think that's one of the things it suffered from. And I'm never gonna criticize BFA for trying to do better and for trying to do more and for trying to do more interesting stuff with the story, because it definitely did. Never gonna criticize them for trying, but I think we learnt there that certain things work a bit better in WoW, and the focus should be on like a more simple kind of antagonist, but a very like consistent one. And yeah. So I think that's like definitely what Iridikron seems to be, and him kind of being very wary of the player character is awesome, I think. Forever mad that they, at least on the face of it, made the Jailer more of a chest master than N'Zoth, who was supposed to be the biggest brain bastard around. Well, yeah, but I mean, Mego, let's be real. We've definitely seen the last of the Jailer, but we've absolutely not seen the last of N'Zoth. Let's be fucking real here. You know, N'Zoth's, like, the Jailer's story is well and truly over, but N'Zoth certainly isn't. I mean, you know, I think most of us are expecting to see a bit of N'Zoth this expansion.